Good evening. It's me. And that is also me as a child when I was exponentially more adorable than I am now. I also loved school at that point, and that was something that did not last for very long. I even received the attendance award for 1st through 5th grade, not missing a single day of school. But by high school, that had changed just a tiny bit. When I no longer was that adorable child and became him, who was adorable in his own way, but slightly less invested in school. And one of the big reasons was because I didn't see how it really related to my life. Neither my life at that point, nor my life in the theoretical future. And so I went through a very long period of time where I didn't know what to do, and finally decided that I would become a teacher, thinking that that would be the most effective way to deal with the biggest problem that I saw, which was that we weren't engaging young people. And so I taught in the public schools for 8 years and loved it and felt that it was very rewarding, but still felt that it was pretty much the same thing that I had gone through. And so I decided I would open up a youth center, and that would take care of the problem. And so I did, and it took care of the problem of what someone might do after school, but it didn't address the issue as I saw it, which was that we needed a different way of education. So after running the program for a few months, I decided that I would just start a school. And the school would become the Pen. And the Pen was an idea that children should choose their own course of study, and that we should be teaching about social and emotional issues above all else to try to make a better world. So what is the point of education? It's to make happier, healthier people who work harder and care more about their community. And so I started with this group of delightful young people. They happened to be people that I had taught when they were in middle school, and their families trusted me enough to send them to me for a full year program. They, from day one, started to design their curriculum, most of it, but some of it I designed based off experiences that I had had that I found incredibly valuable or meaningful, like my through hike of the Appalachian Trail, which effectively changed my life in many ways. And so one of the things that we did, which I'll talk about in a second, is we started the year by through hiking the Long Trail, which is a 270 plus mile backpacking trip that we did in 30 days. This was something that was meaningful to me because of a number of ideas. One, it built self-sufficiency. It made them create and design an experience that they would then have to actually go through and follow through the entire way, no matter how challenging it got. And it was very challenging for them. But it was also incredibly rewarding. For 13, 14, and 15-year-olds to take on a task like this and not only do it, but do it really well, was life-changing for them. But it was just a fraction of what we did. And so we had a very large physical component, but the thing you don't take pictures of is everything else. I don't take pictures of someone, working on the robotics program that they've designed, that they then teamed up with a community member on to be mentored by, and then they shared it with the public in some way. But I do take a picture when, 10 days in, a group of people who had only known each other for a couple weeks effectively loved each other already, and how meaningful that is. And so it wasn't just the outdoors. I got them involved in the issues that mattered to them. So I introduced them to as many issues as I could think of. And they were invested in the idea of getting money out of politics. And so we got involved with the Stamp Stampede, which, for those of you who are aware, is Ben Cohen's brainchild, and this is Ben of Ben & Jerry's spoon-feeding one of our children ice cream. But it wasn't just that. It was literally anything that they decided they wanted to get involved in, we would then get involved in. So instead of talking about it all theoretically, it was, you need to learn about this, and then you need to actually do something. Because the energy of young people far outweighs the energy of people who aren't as young anymore. And experiences that they never would have chosen, like Vermin Supreme, who you may or may not know always runs for president, who spent a day with us, and it was one of the most insane days I've ever had in my life. But it taught the children so much about how they view and judge people and how they view and judge themselves and the world around them. The physical aspect did matter a lot, because I do think that we don't put enough weight or value on people's health, and whether it be physical or mental well-being. And so whether it was running a half marathon or having the most honest, health class that I've ever been a part of. We also did an intense poetry study where the children chose poets that they wanted to learn about and read. And so Ella on the right, who is now New Hampshire's first youth poet laureate, decided she wanted to work with Billy Collins. So she went ahead and worked with Billy Collins, who was the US poet laureate for a couple of years. But we also teamed up with the community because that was another huge aspect of the pen. So instead of having it be that the school was its own entity, the school should be the community, and the community should be around the school. And so we teamed up with, we were in New Hampshire at this point, with New Hampshire poets, and worked with them throughout the course of the whole year. But we did this with everyone we could in the community. And so the idea that was the pen, based off of an idea that I had had a conversation with that boy who was being fed ice cream. When he was in 7th grade, he complained about school and had drawn a muskox and said that that was, the world's greatest animal. And he gave me all these reasons. But this idea became a real thing. And it was such a good idea, I thought, that we got in touch with the U.S. Department of Education. And we went there, and they met with us, and we were like, hey, listen, we have this idea. And the head of the Northeast office of the U.S. Department of Education said, quote, "I've worked here for 26 years, and nothing has ever changed, and nothing ever will." And so we were like, well, that's too bad, but we're still going to do it. And what we effectively did was we created a community of people who, to this day, and these are from a couple of years ago, support each other on a regular basis, care about each other, and try to do their best for the world, which is not special for them. Everybody wants to do this. But to create this community is what was so special, because anybody could, we just need to do it. And so now the program exists in Vermont and is starting this fall. And so if you know any teenagers who might think this is a good idea, let me know.